Beverly Douglas Taylor, 418 East North Street, Charlestown, West Virginia.
The family permitted me to sit down with Beverly Douglas Taylor in the Perry Room of Charlestown Library, August 8, 1990. He was born in 1902. In 1921, he saw white men concealing their identities in white clan robes with their tall cross ablaze right on the small front lawn of the county courthouse, and were permitted. It has taken me to the present day to stop thinking this very sober and wise man was a little foolish to insist that in 1921 they feared genocide of the black. But I have read recently that in that time the governor of Mississippi declared the possible necessity of lynching all persons of color. Then I remember the 60,000 Klansmen who paraded down Pennsylvania Avenue September 13, 1926. Doug said more to me. It's the little things that they do that tell you apart. And the day he was helping Burns as a small boy with filling bags of grain and something spilled, he was cussed out, and that word hit him like a ton of bricks. How many white folks, you and I, have a clue or care at all about how people of color were forever scarred by that first moment they were called by the N-word? This past year, we have awakened to the fact that such hatreds haven't departed, but were silent in the hearts of too many. Listening to Doug bear witness is not like a clever NPR podcast, a lot more. Cadenced, all the emotions registered, born of experience and originality of someone who lived all their life by heart, their heart. Doug would say, "The man with the blue eyes from the Blue Ridge came into the bank wanting a loan," as did Doug. But the man with the blue eyes from the Blue Ridge did not get a loan. Doug did. Think for yourself always and work hard. I've never stopped thinking of what Doug said to me. He'd like this. He is the blackest, best man I ever knew. Just like his daughter Mary Dokes and Jim Taylor, all giants, teaching by example. One might say Doug Taylor worked hog slop and turned it into gold. The three things Doug said that I always remember are, number one, he said, if my children wanted an education, I asked each one, what do you want to do? They said, I want to get an education. And I said, if you want it, I'll walk through hell with you. Number two, he said, I had to do my own thinking. And I saw and found out you had to better yourself. Number three, the King James Bible and the Constitution are the only two documents worth dying for.
They cut me back from the cradle, clean on up until this time come up now. It's a little better than what it was then. But I was born in it and bred to accept it. Bred to accept it. When he called me that nigga, when Barnes called, he was breaking me in. Actually, and he took me there to fan the wheat. He was breaking me in to let me know where I stood. He was a big old tall man. Owned a whole lot of land up there around Wheatland. He didn't buy no big western or nothing like that, just an ordinary hit. But he's a heavy farmer, what we call, he had a lot of land, he farmed. He's a very influential man. The Barnes and Hewitts and Hefferbound and West controlled from down here to Gibsontown. Clean on back to the Clark and Jefferson line. They controlled all on this side of the river. Just like you seen on that thing over there where I seen Logan Austin. He owned from Cabletown clean to the river. Everybody was doing what Logan Austin, he had all the influence in that section. We was brought up to try to get along with this man. We were never brought up to be scared of him. But we were brought up to try to please him. Because you had to survive. Where were you going? One could make it hard on 1,000. You understand? One is if one would say, go out and say something to a white gal, or do something, or steal something, he'd make it hard on all of us.
I'm going to ask you something really difficult here, but do you ever remember any situation where somebody was killed?
In jail, our boy named Rufus, they killed one boy, beat him to death in jail down there. Killed one long road, let him lay down and breathe. But it's little incidents. It's been, I know it's been 20 years since anything like that. These young ones wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah.
The young blacks wouldn't stand for it. We should have burnt down some of them buildings. But I tell you what, we had made a mind up of 3 of us. Both of them dead now. After they beat Rufus to death in jail, we found it out. I don't know his last name, but we call him Rufus. He wasn't from around here. So 3 of us, both of them dead, Tone and Georgia Kerr. We made our mind up to start to burn down some of them barns. Don't care whose barn it was. They were going to burn 3 barns down every time they linked. That night, walk the fence road. If you walk the road, somebody say, oh, I see a strange nigga coming up the road. But we're going to walk the fence road so you couldn't see us. Gonna burn a barn down every time they kill one, lynch one.
It happened then?
No, we didn't burn. NACP and stuff coming getting into it, made some kind of complaint. But then after that, we formed this here Nonpartisan political club. I told you about that. More people in different parts of the state could see into the books and see what was and what wasn't. We didn't have no voice at all. You understand
So
what I
the
mean?
political club was the right answer.
That's right, politics. Beat them boys to death and let one lay down and die. Shot him and then let him lay down and bleed to death. Old Brown did from Shepherdstown. Poor white man. They're not recognized by the rich white man or the middle class white man. Then they got to do their recognition by lynching or Ku Kluxing, something like that. They want to be noticed.
Where were you working at that time when Brown was killed?
I worked at the quarry. So I worked the paper mill from 24 to 27. And I went to the quarry and worked from 27, clean on up to, what year that? 1970. That's 42 years.
This happened before you formed your political club?
Oh, it was in duration of that time. I said we started in about 31. Election was in 33, 32, 33. That's when Roosevelt went in. That's when we first time we changed from Republican to Democrat. Now the paper mill was a Republican job. There was certain places in that a colored man couldn't work where the money was. Well, that was the law of the South. That was what they did. Everything that to have ration. We go to the courthouse over here. Yeah, you know where the courthouse is. I came in to pay Papa and them dues. Pay Papa and them taxes. We had nickels and dimes, got the thing with tight as bark on a hickory tree at that day in time. And I come in to pay it. Well, us Negroes had to stand back and wait. And of course, I learned then, by being a little younger, it made me go back to the back of the line. When my time came for the pay it, we had to get up nickels and dimes. Things were tight. And Mr. Ramey took it, locked the shut the door up. I wrote the receipt out in the book. I said, Mr. Ramey, I said, can I get the receipt, please? You know you had to have malice. He said, when are you going to pay your taxes? I said, I don't own any real estate. I'm just 22 or something like that. I got to take Papa something. He said, you niggas wait the very last minute and come in here and try to tell us what to do. So I want you to understand that this is a white man's country. I said, I've been knowing it all my life. I said, I'd like to take Papa something. So when you pay your taxes, you get this receipt. I said, I know what you understand. You the boss, you the head man. But I said, you can't do that. Don't you tell me what I can't do. He must have had a button. And after I heck out, they ended up being in court for stealing and laid on heck out. And Perry Wilson come in the door. Says, what's wrong? Now they'd have beat my brains out. You'd be surprised at how they unbalanced a lot of Negroes' brains by beating them about the head. The white man. I went on out and told Pop what happened. He come down and Uncle Tom, we called him, bad and scraped, and Mr. Ramey tore it out and gave it to him. Oh, wait a minute, I can't remember like this. I went on up pool room then. Wasn't allowed to loaf on Main Street. I told him what they done to me about the taxes and that. Ross was radical, wasn't no California doctor. But he could read, had a good education. He'd been a Pullman porter for years, you know. He'd met everything. I was sitting up there telling him what ought to be done. Ross said, I'm going to vote for a Democrat ticket. See, we didn't have no voice because we was all Republican. And this is a Democrat county. You understand? Yeah. The sheriff and everything is Democrat. I said to him, I'm going to stop it. I said, we're going to stop it one way or another. I said, I'm not going to vote. I said, I'm going to vote Democrat ticket. We formed Nonpartisan Political Club. First night we formed was, Fritz owned the building now, was a little feast place. We came out, snow was blowing down the street in March. You know how snow is. Next time we elected our officers. I got up and nominated Bob Gator. He declined. Somebody nominated another. And Marcy Jones got up and nominated Billy Hart. That's where we formed the Nonpartisan Political Club. I was sergeant at arms at the door. I had to put out one guy, put him on my arm, carry him out. We had to walk the street armed. The black people. See, it was all Republican. They were mad with us, the old ones. 4 weeks changed from Republican to Democrat. And we formed it that night. I was the guy that was really the cause of it being formed on account. This man called me a nigga and wouldn't give me a proper receipt. Things were tighter than 30, 31 or 32. Well, 32 or 33. Made out we had 175. Politicians. We give them 5 minutes after we formed it and got all the stuff straightened out and everything. We elected justice of peace, sheriff. We threw them 100 and some votes for every one of them. We bounced. We all stuck together. This is the greatest system on the face of this earth. King James Version of it, and the Bible and the Constitution of the United States is the best document, and they're both worth dying for. Another thing, what I figured out, I had uncles, aunts, grandpapa. He come out of slavery. They broke his spirit. You ever see a dog or a cat's spirit broken? But I seen what happened to my father and uncle. They were experts that you can break anything's spirit. Horse, dog, cat, anything. Break their spirit. He's pitiful. I hate to see an animal, anything, spirit broken. That's what they done to the black man. Coming out of slavery, they broke it any way they could.
Was there ever a time when there was hope right after the Civil War?
No, indeed. See, they had the Ku Klux and Patty Road. They had organizations that said like Halltown would have a bunch of guys that had horses and would go down. That was their fun, tormenting and enduring the Negro, you know. And if one was uppity, then they would keep on, maybe eventually kill him. He had to be 2 people. I came up on it. See, you had all them Patty Roads and Ku Klux and all that stuff coming behind. Yeah, but the Patty Roads used to sing a song, Run, Nigga, Run, Patty Road Get You, and all that kind of stuff. A song, all those things were written after the war. The politicians turned their South back to the Southern white man. Mm-hmm. And he had beaten and he had whipped me guy from the North, took it out on the black man. He was just, every time he looked at us, he knew he'd lost. And he said, had me for y'all with this now. What? No.
Yeah. Did you hear that song sung around here?
Run, nigga, run, Patty Road, catch you. Oh, yeah, those things was sung among us. He didn't sing it out to Patty Road, didn't do it. He acted.
Are there other sayings or songs like Run, Patty Rose, Run?
Oh, I just told them, I can't remember stuff like I had an uncle I wish that he could just got here to live long enough. The reason I say the black history's got to be wrote by the black man. Word of mouth won't be, I'll be gone. This here, what I'm saying, I'm the last of them that remember right, and I got it from my grandfather. I told you he's as white as you were. Had gray eyes, blue eyes. But he said he never did know who his father was. It must have been some old poor white man. Well, help me more than anything. Papa and them was highly religious. I seen what they done to my father, and he beat white man, struck with a ham thing. He's 16 years old. He's pulling time in Burrville jail because this old white man beating him. Well, he whipped all the boys, and Papa said he made his mind up. The ham hook, you know what that is. Mm-hmm. Something to hang harness on. Papa found one that was loose. And he knew this old man go hurling. He knew what he did. He whipped all of them except me here. And he coming out cussing that morning, drunk. They was working on the farm because he was a foreman. They kept a control of the black man. They kept a certain amount of fear in him. Mama raised us to be careful about that white woman. They ain't no joke. Careful about, don't play. If they come, we go in the house, never look them in the eye. They could say what they wanted. They kill you, throw you over the field, said the bull done it. Those are the things that we came up under. But what they did, I seen them break my father's spirit. I seen them break my uncle's spirit. They tried it on me. I went to the court with 42 years for U.S. Steel. They sent me home, let the white boys work. Then sent them over to see how I was taken. But I made my mind up. I knew what they'd done to Papa now. I made my mind up they wasn't going to do it to me. I laughed and grinned like nothing ever happened. I had to work night and day to do it. None of them had any more than I did when I left. But I worked, built up slop, built houses and everything like that, cleaned up, called cesspool and done everything like that. The people in them days and times, the older folks are so religious. You understand? And they depended on God for everything. What they were trying to do is to hold on to God so they could get away from here and get some peace. You understand? Grandma Rachel, they wanted to die. And the preacher preached them so that wherever they go, they're going to be better. And they were waiting on a better day. They couldn't see no future. They couldn't see it. I didn't see no hope when I came up. You understand? Wasn't no hope. You understand? I didn't have no hope. But I made my mind up to work. If my children wanted to educate, Mama, y'all come from the Army. I told you, I asked you what you wanted to do. They said, I won't get to educate. I said, if you want it, I'll walk through hell, which if you don't, I don't give a damn whether you get in or not. Didn't I tell you that? Without it, you're a roving savage and a slave. You can't. That was what they fought to keep this man from having.
Education.
Yeah. So if you learn him how to read, he go on, wrote, find out who wrote it. Well, this here gal woman what got old master, she took him and bent his teapot, bent it. Well, then when he had a child, she could put enough pressure on him to make him give that child some education. Well, I done my own thinking. I worked on Sunday, build on Sunday, gathered up slop on Sunday, played ball, fished, all that. But I found out that it was all what I had to put up here. I had to do my own thinking. The things like that, the little things like that, those are the things that tore the black man to pieces. The little teeny thing. You had to take your head off. Mama taught us never look a white woman in the eye. Always keep your head. And if we meet them coming from school, bunch of girls, Mama tells us turn around and go back.
But what did you ever hear about Shepherdstown?
We never knew. The transportation wasn't like it is now. When you went to Shepherdstown, you were getting ready for a long trip.
Yeah. The people in Shepherdstown tell me that there was never any real trouble there. I mean, there wasn't violence. That's what John Wesley Harris told me.
Well, how old is John Wesley Harris?
He's about 91, and he was the teacher.
Not among him.
Yeah, that's right. So you mean they wouldn't mess with the teacher?
Well, I don't say they would, but they would give him a different, more preacher, the teacher, give him more respect, you know, they would then give him more respect than they would the street man.
By the way, I have in my bag, Jim, a real powerful thing. I have a photograph of the last lynching in Martinsburg in 1886. I've got it in my bag out there, a Xerox of it, in the news story.
1886.
Joe Burns.
Could I get a copy of that?
I have a Xerox of it.
Couldn't you get a Xerox, a copy from the Xerox?
I'll give you one, yeah. It was a guy who got out of prison named Joe Burns who was accused of raping a young girl. And he might have done it, you know, because he's kind of a bad news guy, but the trouble was is they took him out, some masked men took him out of jail. And he was lynched from a tree over at Big Spring. And they told him, they said, did you or didn't you do it? And I don't know what to say. You know, there was like 200 people there. And he confessed that he did, but then they lynched him right there. I remember what you said about how they do that to keep that little bit of fear. That's why I think they took photographs.
Deep down in the black man's heart and the black people's race heart, we didn't hurt us as much as losing him. For some guy that wasn't really innocent, was innocent of it, you understand. Some of it wasn't his fault. It's just like a woman. If she gets that crazy about a man, she don't hide it like a man do. You know what I mean? She's going to keep on to, it's just that drive, you understand. It's nature. They had you overbound. My parents and them taught us how to survive. And they had to be taught how to survive. The young Negro today, he don't know nothing. He do things now, they would burn the whole building. They'd burn all the Dogtown up. That's right.
Just like talking to a white girl?
Oh, I never look them in the eye. I always drop my head down. And if she's working for them, like you working around the house, if she get ready to go up past the step, you turn your back. Mama raised us to survive. If we were coming from Ripon and see some white girls in that bunch coming, Mama said, turn around and go the other way. Don't come past them. He's just a breed of people that will not, you get a job, and get all the money and everything, he won't mount nothing. We know that. Which white man do too. He'll preach about, we'll give us something. The poor white man, he was just same as a hound. Right now, I tell them all, the white boys with the white gals and all, I said, when they get ready, if you don't brief their ass to Jap, they're the one, the backbone of the army. Murphy and Sergeant York and all them. They know how to hunt. They got all kind of guns and everything. And you track a ant. I mean, they the backbone of our army. Get enough of them together, they'll do anything. Don't you tell me what they won't do.
Were there ever any white people who had the courage to not do that sort of thing and to disagree?
Well, he had to be very careful. We knew some would get off to themselves and would tell us so and so and so and so. But if he had it, he better not show it. See, he had all them pateros and Ku Klux and all that stuff coming behind. The politicians turned so much of the political power back to the southern white man. And he had beaten and he whipped me guy from the north, took it out on the black man. See, every time he look at us, he know he'd lost.
Do you remember the stories of people having their homes sold out from under them? They'd go away, and then, let's say in the 20s, they'd leave and go to Baltimore to work, and then they might be late on their taxes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, indeed.
Do you think of some...
I could take you up to Franklin and show you. We used to walk through there, all them places that was black. Old men that slave time got it. They got it. It was a big timber now. They sold them this new ground. You ain't seen those like there was when we walked through McCurdy's Woods. You couldn't see in the daytime.
McCurdy's Woods?
McCurdy's Woods. You could walk through it in the middle. When you get in the middle, you couldn't see. It was just that dark. The old timber, just that much timber. It was all cut out since World War I. Well, Franklintown was a Negro named after Franklin. Now it's all white. Way they done, the children go away and they would let the taxes go back. Now, you can buy all the tax land. If you protested in court, you don't get that land easy as you think if somebody go up and make a fight about it. You care how many years you have if it's done right.
Do you know other communities that were once black communities?
Most of them are built, I told you, where it was a big bunch of timber. And they cut the big timber off.
This is much...
I've seen stumps, I told you, in Franklin as big as this. Men gambled on them. Well, they sold them that land. I'm talking about after slavery. The black man had to, when he's free, he had to have some. The little towns that they lived in, like Louisville, Cedar Hill, and all them places, it was on a clay hill, built up on a hill. Cedar Hill was nothing but cedar. Some other places, like Jamestown, was rock bricks. I'm talking about the little villages that those Negroes got at that day and time. There was land that nobody else didn't want.
Do you remember something in Shenandoah Junction called Tiger Row? Was that sort of like this? Or...
Yeah, it was a place where the colored sit. Where I live, it's called Dogtown. on the street.
What was this at there? What was Tiger Road?
It was down there all along the railroad, back along, right down along. You see, all the land that was away from the railroad track was for white, They put the black down there with all that freight and dust.
Mr. Johnson?
We look where we at. We along the railroad up there. I'm just saying, the land that they let that Negro have, you understand? He had to take that or none, you understand? Now, they take, just say 5 acres and put maybe 40, 50 people on it. Miss Smith had a little restaurant. And I never could figure out everything I seen in the Bible. I don't belong to church today. It's a supreme being. You can call him whatever you want. But everything I seen was white. Coming up, I went to Sunday school. I looked at all that. Mom and them done the praying, and white people done the kicking and knocking. I figure if this child can make it, I can make it. Now, stay in heaven. If we should happen to get in, I'm going to step on one of them guys' feet or pull a handful of feathers out of his wing. I'm going to do something. I ain't got no business up there.